Dr. Dennis L. Waters Sr. here, and reading from the book This Is It, Chapter 12. The chapter is entitled Forgiveness. Forgiveness. Your consciousness is God, and there is no other God. If a seeming wrong or injury has been committed against you, therefore you must forgive. Now, there's no other, so there's no other to forgive. You give something for the feeling of resentment or hate that you now hold in your consciousness. You give way to a feeling of love, peace, harmony, and joy. In other words, it is the age-old law of substitution in consciousness. To forgive means to give something for. If you have a headache and you take a pill for the condition, you're giving yourself something for the headache. Likewise, a person who happens to be in a mood of resentment must replace this mood he is entertaining by forgiveness. The only way he can forgive himself for entertaining such a negative mood is by the indwelling gift of love and peace within his own consciousness. You must radiate this feeling to all around you. When you think of John or Mary, who formerly was what you thought the cause of resentment, you will see the Christ in him or her and rejoice. You become exceedingly glad that they are expressing all they long to be. You are seeing the truth behind the form, the divinity behind the mask. Love thy neighbor as thyself, says Jesus. Your neighbor is yourself. All love is to oneself. All treatment is to oneself. Consequently, all hate, jealousy, and bitterness is to oneself. If you decide to hate someone or injure someone, whom are you injuring? Yourself only. I am the Lord, that is my name. My glory I will not give to another. As is well known, many people are healed by absent treatment. The teacher or healer does not know anything about the details of the case in question. The blending of the patient with the healer is not essential. The scriptures point this matter out clearly. Jesus raised Lazarus, who was dead 4 days. A dead man cannot ask you to pray for him or blend with him. Neither can the insane ask you to heal them. Yet the scriptures reveal that they were healed. The only reason the disciples could not heal an insane child was because of their unbelief. If you wish to treat a person at a distance, even though he has not requested you to do it, you must feel the reality of the healing within yourself. You actualize this state within your subjective mind. Since there's only one subjective mind, what you have felt as true of the others must be manifested in the other's world. There's no other, for there's only the one. This question comes up occasionally wherein someone says, "Oh, I had a remarkable spiritual healing," but some weeks or months later, there was a relapse to the former state. No teacher or healer can guarantee the continuance of the healed state due to the simple fact that man is not an automaton or a robot, but has freedom to choose. He has freedom to be sick or well as he chooses. The day following the healing, he may reinfect himself by accepting a suggestion of fear or by entering into an emotional outburst of anger or hate. Man must change his habits of thought and adopt for his rule the guide, right thinking, right feeling, and right action. Teaching is healing. Consequently, a very important function of the healer or teacher is to point out to the sick person the cause of his trouble and how to eliminate it. The sick person, realizing that all his troubles of whatever nature were effects of causes set up within himself, must decide to discontinue the wrong thinking which produced the ill effects in his world. He learns that the Christ within can accomplish all things. Having learned the causes for the misfortune and chaos in his world, he will then maintain the consciousness of health, peace, and harmony. He will thereby prevent a relapse or reinfection of former destructive moods. In the 11th chapter of Mark, we read that wonderful words, "What things soever ye desire, when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them." Mark 11:24. There are no conditions laid down. It is not necessary that one be a holy person or a great mystic to manifest the innermost desires of his or her heart. The man we call the murderer, the person we call the thief, or the person of ill repute could, if he or she desired, become Jesus the Christ instantly. Shocking as this may sound, all that such a being would have to do, according to the law of spiritual consciousness, is to forget completely the past by turning within, feeling with all his or her heart and soul that he or she is the Christ and is doing the works of Jesus Christ on earth. As a man thinketh, as a woman thinketh in his or her heart, so shall it be done unto him or to her. In the twinkling of an eye, that person could be changed. Paul, according to the New Testament, persecuted his fellow Christians or fellow people, testified against them, and had them put to death. He is a shining example of the state of consciousness that can be attained instantly if desired. Paul was illuminated on the road to Damascus, and by turning within, changing his conception of himself, and finding that he really was the Christ. We can do this. If this is not true, the whole teaching of the Bible collapses and is false. But it is true, the same yesterday, today, and forever. The truth is, we are all that we ever will be now, but we fail to recognize it. The mass murderer or the violent assassin can in one moment become the Christos, the illuminated one. The person needs merely rise in consciousness to the conviction or feeling that he or she is the Christ and is doing the works of him that sent him. We're told the story of the boy born in the stable of lowly parents. We are informed that he was a carpenter. It was said, "Can there any good thing come out of Nazareth?" John 1 in verse 46. Yet this boy, born with all the social and worldly handicaps, became one with the Father. He walked the earth, the God-man, seeing only perfection, seeing only beauty, seeing only order, seeing only symmetry and proportion in everybody and everything. Why? Because by uplifting his consciousness, these qualities were established and made manifest within himself. What thou seest, that thou beest. The meaning of the story of Jesus is that any human, woman, boy, girl, man can become the Christ. The command is, "Go thou and do thy likewise." The Jesus Christ state of consciousness is not born of woman, but comes out of the imagination of a person. We must refuse to believe the idle, foolish statement that it takes man 100 or 1,000 years to become a Jesus. There is no time in God. That which is to be hath already been. In other words, you are all that you will ever be now. It's inside of you. Yes, to bring it forth, you can do that this very instant. Even 50 million years hence will not make any difference to the reality within you. Do you not realize the everlasting truth of all the ages, that you are God, individualized in a fleshly body? All conceptions that you ever conceive or will conceive, all growth, learning, wisdom, expansion, and contractions, are the illusion of growth and expansion. God cannot learn or become wise. He is all wise. He knows all. Hence, it must be the illusion of evolution. It is simply the grand masquerade of the one. Yes, there are deep, heavy scales on our eyes. If we will let the scales fall, we will see the light within. Our prayer should be, God, give me eyes to see the light. Awake thou that sleepeth, and arise from the dead, and Christ shall give thee light. Ephesians 5, verse 14. If you think for one moment that you are unworthy to see the light and become the perfect person, then dwell on these words. But if the wicked will turn from all his sins that he has committed, and keep all my statutes, and do that which is lawful and right, he shall surely live. He shall not die. All his transgressions that he hath committed, they shall not be mentioned unto him. In his righteousness that he hath done, he shall live. That's the book of Isaiah, the book of Ezekiel, the 18th chapter, verses 21, 22. And so this is this chapter that deals with forgiveness. And the promise of forgiveness is that it's unconditional and it's unlimited. That's the promise. It's unconditional and it's unlimited. And to receive it, to believe it is to receive it. And to know that God dwells in you, that he's living in you, through you, and as you. And to believe that, to know that, to receive that, that's the call. That's the call. That's what is offered in this day, in this moment, in this time. That you are God asleep. You're God asleep. And that the call is, arise, thou that sleepeth. Arise, thou that sleepeth. Namaste. Take care. This was the 12th chapter of the book, This Is It, by Dr. Joseph Murphy. Blessings.